Welcome to episode 4 of the Undergrad Forum. Today's topic is exam techniques. Now, I alluded to this episode in episode 3, and that was a few, maybe months or so back, and I apologize it took so long to get this video up. I recorded it previously, my hard drive kind of crashed, and so I'm recording it again for you. So that kind of explains the lag in which episode 4 is not being uploaded. Now, today's topic, exam techniques, is one of the more important ones I could post, because on episode 3 we discussed study techniques. How can you prepare well for an exam? How can you use your time efficiently? How can you use different techniques to help you study well? And today's exam techniques, we're going to take all the work you've done and put it into action. We're going to get a reward, we're going to get an outcome to the work that you've done. Now, today we're going to discuss a few different types of exam techniques based on what type of exams you will receive in college. Now, these topics I kind of grouped into 3 different categories, and based on how much information you have to know. I find this more useful than just like listing multiple choice, fill in the blank, short answer, essay format, because that's very general. So the 3 categories we're going to be discussing, the first being, you don't have to know that much. As long as you have a gist of the idea, you can kind of work your way through it, and you'll get somewhere. Of course, if you studied well, you don't have to worry about any of these categories, but it's nice to have these in mind. If you see a question in which you're not very comfortable with, or you're like, oh, I hardly studied that, I didn't think it was important, and now it's on the exam, you know where it's going to be in the categories we're going to create here. So that was category 1. You don't have to know that much. Category 2, you kind of got to get it. At this point, you have to really understand the material just on a basic level. On a fundamental level, you get the information and you can kind of figure out answers. And the third, you just have to know. If you're not really getting it, unfortunately, this third category of questions is going to be a bit tough, and the chances of you getting it right without really knowing it is not going to be that high because they've designed it to only give points to people who get it. So let's start with the category of you kind of got to know it, but not really got to know it all that much. And okay, so for the first one is multiple choice. Multiple choice exams are, some professors only use multiple choice, while some don't use it at all. Certain standardized exams, like the Medical College Admissions Test, the GRE, the LSAT, even the DAT, I believe all of these use multiple choice, because if you're grading, exams from all over the country, multiple choice is the most efficient and quick way to grade things and get it back to students. And the same holds true in the college classroom. Whether your classroom is filled with 30 students, as it is in my college, or 300 to more students at a very large UC, using multiple choice is nice because you can get the test back to students quickly, and multiple choice tests, since they're so prevalent in graduate school, medical school, and standardized testing, it's good to get used to them at the undergraduate level. So let's start discussing multiple choice. As the figure you see in front of you, we've taken a question and we have 5 different answers, A, B, C, D, and E. Some professors will only do A, B, C, and D. Some will throw in that E. I've even seen some be 7 long, but most typically you'll get 4 or 5. And sometimes they'll be a little bit more tricky than what I have in front of you. Now look at this slide. This is a little bit more of an advanced multiple choice. A, B, and C have solutions. D says A and C, so it's 2 of the above, and E says all of the above. So that means A, B, and C. These get a little bit more tricky because the answers will have a little bit, just a slight variance. So, for example, B is related to A and C, but it's not really the right answer because A and C are the right answer, for example. So these can be a little more tough. But let's just go back to this slide where we just have A through E. And each one has its own answer. Now, the best way you can do is by reading the question really carefully. Multiple choice is not a place where you just want to be guessing and clicking all C's or such. What you want to do is really look at the question really hard. Just read it nice and slow once or twice or however much you need, but just read it once and get it, once or twice. And once you've gotten the question, think of the answer real quick in your head if you can, and then look at the answers below. Doing this will help you from being persuaded by the answers below. For example, some professors will know you look at the question, then you look at the answer, and they'll put an answer that looks right, but in fact it's not. Typical trick, that's what they do. So think of a quick answer, and if you see it, circle it. But remember, always read the other answers. This is the thing of multiple choice. You're not picking the best answer. You're not picking the correct answer. You're picking the best correct answer. If that confusing statement, you want to pick the most correct statement out of all of the 5 listed. So even if you think, for example, C is correct, you may think, wait, actually, I should probably read D because maybe A is correct as well, or maybe it's actually B is more correct than A. So you want to select the most correct answer. And so in that case, so say that happens, you read the question, you know the answer, you pick the best one, you go on. Congratulations. Now say you've reached a really hard question. You're reading it, you're like, it could be like 4 or 5 of these. Gosh. What you want to do is start eliminating. And I know this sounds like 3rd grade, not 3rd grade, but like high school or middle school stuff of like eliminate the wrong answers. It's not as easy in the more difficult courses or in standardized exams to just select out the wrong ones. But if the more you practice multiple choice, and I'll talk about that at the very end, the better you'll get at just identifying a few things that are wrong. So let's just look at the one here. A and B, for example, are quite similar. Now, since they are similar, they're not going to be the same answer because that's not how their multiple choice things are designed. But there's going to be a little bit of difference between A and B. So go through them, look at the 2 that are similar, and then figure out the difference. And one of them will be wrong. So once you've read the 2, you figure out a difference, pick the one that's wrong and mark it off and go on. Keep doing this and comparing them as you go along until you've reached, less than 5 or less than 4, and then your chance of getting it right increases substantially. And that's kind of the best way to go at multiple choice because you really want to look and compare the answers between each other, and then you can start eliminating. Now, last point to make about multiple choice, the reason why I stress this so much is that a lot of standardized exams and a lot of classes you'll take in college will have multiple choice. Professors like how easy it is to grade, and some of them like preparing you for what you have ahead of you. A lot more multiple choice in graduate school, in medical school, in vet school, on standardized exams, on advanced courses. Multiple choice is not leaving your life, so it's nice to get a firm grasp of it and a good foundation at the undergraduate level. So that you kind of have to know. You don't have, kind of to you kind of don't. The more challenging questions you do have to know, kind of, because if you can kind of narrow it down. As one of my peers says, what's the difficulty with multiple choice? The answer is right in front of you. And that's correct, but it's just really hard to find the correct answer. So his statement is correct. The answer is in front of you. With practice, you'll be able to look past all the distractions of other answers and just pick the correct one. And really good professors will figure out how to make really tough multiple choice questions. So the better you get at them, you can really tackle those tough ones and get a good grade and reward yourself with your studying. And that was the kind of. So there's 2 more exam techniques in this kind of. You don't really have to know